Hello and welcome everyone. Welcome back to DevChatter. My name is Brendan. Hi, and this channel obviously is DevChatter based on the name that you can probably see somewhere on the screen somewhere. Welcome. Hopefully you are all ready to write some code today. We're going to be doing some programming exercises, which I have been mentioning to people for a while is something we were going to get back to on the stream, so that we do these occasionally. But before we jump into doing programming exercises, there's a couple of other things I want to talk about. The first one is that I am planning to do some learn to code streams. Those are going to be designed so that we start off really easy. So we're going to start with a base solution. We're going to use all the free tools. We're going to do something simple. We're going to set up an exercise that whether you're a beginner, intermediate, advanced, doesn't matter. It's something that you could at least get value in having done again or gone back to basics on. But if you've never programmed before or you've never programmed in C#, we're going to make it so that you can follow along and actually do everything with us. So we're actually going to pull out VS Code, which is the lightweight IDE from Microsoft. If you don't know, an IDE is an interactive development environment. So that basically means it's the text editor we're going to use for coding. And VS Code works on Linux, Mac, Windows, so it doesn't matter what computer you're on, you can run VS Code. The crazy thing, for those of you that don't know, so among a lot of computer circles on the internet, depending on which one you're in, Microsoft might be like a bad word that, oh, we don't talk about Microsoft here. But the interesting thing was, in the Stack Overflow survey this year, amazingly, that came back as the most used editor, which is really crazy. And yeah, as Greendorf mentioned, you can basically just go out and install VS Code. It's a small download, it's lightweight, it installs in minutes, it's easy, and you don't need a degree in computer science to run VS Code. You don't really need it to run Visual Studio either, but I think people get the point. One's simple, one's complicated. Okay, so we're going to be starting those soon. I sent out a survey, so if I haven't had you respond to this, I should say poll, yet, please take a moment, go onto Twitter, and let me know what days would be best for you if you are interested in checking this out. And whether you're interested or not, click the retweet button just so that we can get some more people's feedback on this, because I want to make sure there's as many people as possible in the chat when we do these, because it's going to be better for everyone who's learning to be able to ask questions and have answers both from me and from other people in chat. And the reason I say that is, I'm pretty good at giving an explanation, I feel, but my explanation is not the one that's going to work for everyone. So that's why I always tell you, I don't care like how good you are at explaining things. Some people need someone different to explain it. So that's why I want to make sure we've got a good group so that, we can help each other. So if you are one of the developers, wow, that was well timed, Steve, thank you. If you are one of those developers, feel free to show up anyway, and you can actually help out answering questions. So if you want to support new people that are, whether they're interested in learning coding so that they can do it as a job, or they just want to learn it because they think it's cool, you're welcome to show up and help. I know, right? That was really awesome timing. So thank you, Visual Studio, for the auto host. Welcome anyone who was lurking around in there. We are going to be doing some C# and .NET Core coding today. So let's go ahead and get started on that. Just to run through things, Nocta, hello, Greendorf, hello, CuteCat, hello, Hellosia, hello, and Lemons Galore, welcome. Hi, everybody. Everybody that's talked in chat, I said hello to. So if you want me to say hello to you, all you have to do is talk in chat. Pro tip right there. Okay, so, for anyone who doesn't know, Steve Smith, who goes by the name Ardalis on the internet, is a good friend of mine. We worked together for many years and assembled a set of kata that we like a lot. And Steve has them up here on his GitHub for easy use. And what's nice about this is he has them in PDF form, which is pretty nice, and he also has a markdown form, so that's what the left-hand side here is. If you don't know, a programming kata is basically a small exercise that gets you essentially how to phrase this? It's a small scale program that you could do the entire thing in one sitting, but because it is a known exercise, you can find other people have done the same one elsewhere, so you could do an implementation and then look at someone else's, which is really valuable when you want to learn more about programming, is actually looking at someone else's implementation and seeing how they do it differently. Another nice thing about them is that you can actually do them more than one time. So I have done these before, and every time I do them, I try not to do exactly the same thing I did before. That's intentional, even if I liked what I did before. And the reason why is that by trying something else, even something that I don't think is as good, I'm able to, see if I was right about that. To see like, well, let me actually try it that way. We're actually going to write it that way. And maybe when I'm done, I'll realize, oh, actually, this wasn't as bad as I thought. There was some nice things about it. And it gets you more experience with different ways of doing things. And you do it with a problem space that you know or is simple enough to understand in one sitting. So that is the point of doing these programming exercises in katas. Okay, so what we have in here is a handful of these, and feel free to shout out if there's one of these that you want me to do. I'm going to just pick one. I actually did not decide in advance which kata we're doing because I wanted to give you guys the chance to shout out if one sounded really cool. But I am going to explain a couple of them. So string calculator is actually a classic one. A lot of people know that one. The bowling game one is also a classic one. So is FizzBuzz. So those are all very common, well-known kata. Zombie Survivors is a little bit... I think this might be Steve's specifically. Tennis Scoring is one of mine, although I'm sure other people have done their own versions of tennis scoring. Let's see. Potter, Prime Factors, Pencil Sail. No suggestions from the audience. In that case, I'll just pick one. Let's go ahead and go with... Good call. Let me take a look at the zombie kata. We're going to take a look at what's in here. And I'm actually going to post this link in chat so you all can... Oh, a suggestion for RPG. Okay. Well, I'm still going to take a look at this one because I forget exactly how it works. Whew. That one could take a while. So... let's take a look at this one. RPG Combat. Alright. RPG Combat it is. Thank you for the suggestion, Lemons Galore. Okay, so this is a fun kata. You build combat for, say, a role-playing game. And it's implemented as a sequence of iterations. The domain doesn't include a map. Okay, so we're not worrying about a lot of aspects of the game. We're just focused on the combat, so we're not worried about character skills, maps, or any other kind of stuff that might exist in the world. So don't worry about the rest of the game, just focus on combat for this. So we are going to complete each iteration before reading the next one. Okay, so iteration 1. So this exercise, as I'm noticing, is set up a lot like a real-world development team. So the idea is, a lot of times you don't know what's going to be in your next... a lot of times you don't know what's going to be in your next set of work that you're going to do. So what you end up with is you get your set of instructions for this week, but you don't know what your set of instructions are going to be for next week. So that's kind of how things happen there. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. So all characters when created... Okay, so... complete each and do pairing. So I don't have a pair right now. Normally I do recommend everybody always do pair programming because that also helps with that new ideas thing that I was mentioning. So all characters are going to start with health at 1000, level starting at 1. Let me raise that up so I don't see it. And maybe alive or dead starting alive. Characters can deal damage to characters. Damage is subtracted from health. Okay, all characters are... Alright, so I feel like this should be I feel like this should be a class library for now, and not a console application or something like that. So let's go ahead and start off. I'm going to say create a new project, and then I want to put this inside of our DevChatter section. Let's see. So on stream, we're going to say, and then I want to put this inside of a folder, which I'm going to date. So I'm going to say 2018-06-23. So that is today's date according to my time. Let's see, class library. We're going to call this RPG Combat. Let's see. And, calm down, cute cat. We have a lot of auto-modding stuff. Don't trigger it and you'll be good. Yeah, hang on one sec. Okay, let's see. So RPG Combat. We know there was a word described in there that is characters. So we know we have characters. So for now I'm going to start with a class for characters. The next thing I'm going to do is I am going to make a test class. So always start off, make your test class right away, even if you aren't someone that does test-driven development, though I recommend doing test-driven development. So we're just going to call this unit tests for now, which is a good enough name. So notice in programming exercise mode, I'm not putting in all the big long names. I'm not putting like DevChatter prefixes and stuff like that. That's because this is throwaway code. We're not going to keep it, but we do want it to be clear. So clear, but not having the complexity of all that stuff. Let's see. XD, do I know among C# web developers is it common to mix C# with HTML rather than using the backend as a web API and keeping the front end completely separate? The short answer to that one is we usually use C# in our Razor pages. So essentially the idea is that our Razor pages allow us to create server-side content that's going to come down, and it's common for that to have C# in it. And that'll be inside the HTML. That's done whether we're doing a view or whether we're a view for MVC or whether we're doing Razor pages. Either one is actually very common. So we do use C# code in there. That's how we bind the data server side. Although, for anyone that is doing a SPA application, it is also a common scenario to do what you're suggesting there and having C# be only the backend and just be a web API backend and have everything else be bound in JavaScript. Both are common. And it depends on the developer and what kind of site they're building a lot too. So that's the question there. Okay, so let's jump back to this. I notice it did not rename that file to characters instead of class 1. So we're gonna do that, and then in unit tests. Can you what, cute cat? Oh, can you hack the mods? Someone probably can, Greendolf, but I would Greendolf is right. You probably shouldn't. Oh, that I don't know either, but I still wouldn't do that. Let's see. I'm looking to practice some C# web dev and don't want to do something no one does for potential future. Oh no, XD. Actually, it's very common. Both scenarios are very common. So what you don't want to do is be writing complex C# code. So remember that the C# code that you put in a view inside the HTML stuff should be simple and for display purposes only. So that means things like You might use a format string, or you might do an order by, or you might do like a for each over a collection, but don't do anything complicated. And Amiable Chief, welcome. Thanks for following. Cute Cat, that's a no, don't hack the bots, even if you are capable of it. Okay, so let's see. So for a character, we know a couple of things. We know that they have is alive. So we talked about in our instructions, we said they have health starting at 1,000, level starting at 1, and they may be alive or dead. They start out alive, so we're going to say, since it says start out alive, we're going to say true. Now what I'm going to do is this. I want to name my test class something more useful. Characters should. And I am going to say start out alive as my test. So characters should start out alive. That seems like a really valuable piece of information. Coblinator, hey there. I am working on some programming exercises, so we're starting out some simple stuff. We're going to be doing a little bit of code here, and should be easy enough for everybody to follow along. C#, .NET Core code. We're using XUnit, and we are following along with this exercise, so if anyone is interested in seeing it, it is right there. Okay, so let's see. Start out alive. So I want to create a new character. Now this I need a reference for. Now the cool thing here is that, oh, I called it characters. I want to call it character. That was my mistake. Let me fix the type and the class. So rename file to match the type. Hang on one sec. Okay. So we have character is alive, and then character should. So I want to say character should instead of characters should, for the same reason there. So we're going to match that name. What are my... Oh, and I linked the exercise for anybody that didn't notice. What are my thoughts on MVC and Razor pages in one project? Lemons galore. I actually love the idea of mixing the two. That is actually something I'm highly in favor of. Now, what's interesting is that you don't see it when you use a Razor page project, but you're actually using Razor pages and MVC in that same project. So yes, identity uses it. Yes, actually what you said right there, the scaffold tool to add identity, added it as Razor pages. But what you need to notice is the logout function. So when there's a little logout button, that's actually using an MVC controller. So lemons galore. Back in ASP.NET Core 2.0, the controller was actually there, but with 2.1, they put it inside of a class library that's included. Asbako, apologize if I messed up your name there, but welcome. And your question, is .NET worth learning? I would actually say that yes, .NET is absolutely worth learning. I would recommend learning .NET Core. That's not to say it's the only framework worth learning. But there are a lot of jobs in .NET, there are a lot of things you can program with it, and it can take you a lot of places. So you can do web development, you can do client development, you can do mobile development, you can do game development. There are a lot of things you can do with it. And that doesn't mean that for certain tasks other languages aren't better. For example, if you need to do if you want to program low-level shaders and things like that, for game development you're not going to be using C#. But that doesn't mean that you couldn't have C# that was, say, calling some C++ code or something else. So, in general, I would say there are a lot of things that are worth knowing, and it's good to be a polyglot. So, I used to be a Python programmer. I've done a lot of Python. I've done a lot of C++. I've done Java. I've done C#. I've done a lot of different programming in a lot of different languages. I did a lot of JavaScript back in the day. I've done VB. I've done classic ASP. There's a lot of programming languages that are very useful to know, but my one recommendation would be don't avoid something. So just because you think like, oh no, I don't like that, like, give languages a chance. So, like, as developers, we like to say like, oh no, that's terrible, like, ugh. But it's, you know, whether it's from a company we don't like or something like that, there's no reason not to avoid something just because you don't like it. So, assert true. So I want to do a test on this right here. So I said character should start out alive. So I just created a new character class, and I want to make sure that this is alive is true. Now, because I like TDD, even though I already wrote the code that makes it pass, I'm going to comment it out temporarily because I want to see that the code can fail. So that's the important thing. Hey, thanks, Lemons Galore. Everybody spam those DevChatter hype emotes in chat there, and please enjoy yours as well, Lemons Galore. Okay, so as I said, we want to make sure that this can fail. So the best way to make sure that it can fail is to try and have it fail. So we're going to assert.true, and since I removed the code that starts it out as true, the test fails. So what we're going to do now is go in here and uncomment that code, and now when we run it again, I'm going to click those little buttons there. This test should pass. And we give it a second, and now the test passes. You can't really see it too well because it's behind my head right here. Where can I put that where you all could see that a little better? Tests, I guess I could put them over here. No, because that would be hidden there. No, I guess I'll put it back down here, and what I'll do is this. I'll have it not pinned and something. Yeah, not sure. You can't see the test that well. Yeah. Guess I can put it on the left. But then I need to unpin it if I'm going to put it here. There we go. So we'll pop it out, we'll do this. So it'll be unpinned and we'll bring it out like that. So now you can see it. Okay. Yeah, if I move my head to the right though, then I'm going to cover up the description. Okay, anyway. Rubix, you are learning C# and you're working on your own little project at home. What should you learn to implement to help move forward? Rubix, so my first comment is that is awesome. I love that you're learning C#. And I also then want to tell you that we are going to be doing a Learn to Code series on the channel starting here soon. So you should absolutely attend that and let me know what day of my normal time you want, like you are most able to be here. Do I have that somewhere? I am going to link to this in chat again. Go vote on that Twitter poll and let me know when you want, like when you can most easily attend. So we're going to be doing some easy to learn stuff right off the bat, and that would be a great time to ask those questions. Not that now isn't, because I will still answer that. But I just wanted to make sure that I gave you the heads up that we're going to be doing some like beginner level intro learning C# stuff. So it should be fun. They're going to be like follow-along stuff. You put your Test Explorer to the right, but I have my Solution Explorer there for some unfair... Yes, Greendorf. I have my Solution Explorer over to the right. Sorry about that. I've got things set up because I wanted that space above me to be like the code, because I figured that's the easiest thing when streaming, but I might shift stuff around at some point. We'll see. Yeah, so Cobalt, welcome. Hello, everyone. All right, so let's jump back to this. So we start out alive. So we have that. So we start out alive. The next thing is we want a level. So we're going to give the character a level, and we should say start out at level 1. So prop int level So we're going to do that, and now we're going to do another fact. So I'm going to copy this code. So we have another test here. And in this test, I want to say... So we said start at alive. And now I want to say start at level 1. I'm going to say 1 that way. It's a tough call whether I do the word or do the number, but I think that's the way I'm going to do it. So we're going to say level and equal. So in this, we now need to put the numbers. So keep in mind when you're doing these, always, always, always. So what I was looking at here, it's hard to see because the font's kind of small, but this first value, when I look at the IntelliSense here, says the expected, and the second is the actual. That way, when this fails, we're going to have a clear error message, and I'm going to show you what I mean here in a second when I run this. Cobalt, I used to do WPF a lot back in the day. I have not worked with WPF in a while. I will also tell you the hilarious thing that I was actually writing a Silverlight book back when that was a thing, like before Silverlight came out. So I did know WPF and Silverlight really well back then. Okay, so here is why I wanted to be very careful about getting those numbers right. So when I do my assert, it says expected 1 and actual 0. If I had flipped those, it would have said it the other way, right? It would still do this comparison. Now, I love how that's telling me that this is wrong. My tooling knows that I'm doing this wrong here, which is funny. So it's actually helping there. But if you watch what happens when we run the test, it says expected 0, actual 1, which is not true. We expect the person to be level 1, but they were actually set to 0. So let's flip that back. So that's why you want to check the ordering, is because otherwise your error message when the test fails won't be clear. And then just to confirm, I'm going to run the test one last time, because I want to make sure that it's still failing for the right reason. So it's failing. We expected to have level 1, but we actually had level 0. So that is perfect. So now I want to go in here, and I say equals 1. So for anyone who doesn't know, this is actually a cool new trick that was added into C# in, might have been version 6 or 7, I actually don't remember for specifically, which is pretty bad for me since I do presentations on that. My memory is not right there right now. But either way, is alive set to true, level equals 1. So this is actually the exact same code as if I were to set these values in the constructor like this, right? So that's how this piece works. It's exactly the same as doing it in the constructor. So just for an explanation there. The default property value is added post 452. Yeah, that's a .NET Framework version, though, Cobalt. And I'm talking C# language version. So, 1 second, Pepsi break. Good stuff. Okay, so now that we've got that working, and I'll prove that it's working by doing this. Okay, there we go. Fonzie, what front-end package manager are you using with your ASP.NET Core 2 apps? Fonzie, we're actually not using them yet. So we will be. Sorry, Blub. I'll drink a little bit more Pepsi in a moment. I clicked the button but messed up while clicking it and decided not to click it again. So Fonzie, the plan is I'm actually going to try and get some JavaScript people on the channel with us as guests. And so that's part of the reason why I have not actually chosen which package manager we're using yet. I have a couple of people that I'm talking to that I haven't gotten on yet. But yeah, that is the plan. I'm going to bring them on and we're going to have that. Well, Fonzie, we don't actually have JavaScript in our front ends yet. So that's actually why. And yeah, there's a lot of craziness within that. So, yeah, Nate. DevChatter, brought to you by Coca-Cola. So I don't understand why and how I should use get and set. It's really confusing to me. Oh, actually, hey, everybody, that is actually a really good point. I am going to spend a moment here and explain this concept. So, here's the question that Rubik's just asked. Basically, the question Rubik's just asked. Rubik's is basically wondering, why do this code that I have here versus do this? Because I could definitely do this as a field. So, yeah, you might have Cobalt. I think I remember your name, so I don't remember if you gave me a follow or not, but I can check. Anyway, so the point is right here. So you'll notice that I can do this as a field or I can do this as a property, and both work just fine. In fact, my tests are going to work just fine either way. So Rubix is wondering, why don't you just use fields? Why do you use properties? And thank you for the follow, Cobalt. And there are actually a couple of reasons. So within programming, it's been very common to use this concept of a property for a long time. The idea is that you have a method that returns the value instead of just giving you access to the value. This gives you what is called a seam. So essentially, because a property in C# is so lightweight, it does not really matter to use it. However, the advantage is that nothing is really connecting to my Boolean property. Let me show you what is actually happening. So C# originally didn't work like this. It did not have, this is called an auto property. It originally didn't have these. I am going to let this convert. So I have a tool here that will automatically switch this for me. So this is what was originally, this is how you originally would have done a property in C#. So you would have a backend value, this is my field, and this is my property, which gets you access to this. And actually, this didn't even write it right. To statement body and to statement body. So it would actually look like this. So this is what C# looked like back in like 2005. It looked like this when you did a property. Every one, you had a field and you had a property. And at that time, someone would really ask, why would you do that? And the reason is this. We have a seam here. We have an entry point where we can control and make modifications now. So let's say that I said, you know, that I want to have this load up only when someone accesses it. So maybe this starts at you know, this value. So let's say I made this a nullable int. Then when I do a get, I could say something like dot has value, and then say if it has a value, then actually I would do it like this. Sorry, I would say or underscore level equals 1. Isn't that right? Oh, wait, dot value, right? No? What's wrong with that? What did I mess up? Cannot convert an int. Cast to int. Weird. Okay. Either way, the point is that it lets me run code in between these. So, and that doesn't just mean for my code, that means for like anyone's code. So there's stuff that we can put in there. We get the chance to manipulate those values that we can't do if we are if we're using a field, because all it then is a value. With this, there's a method in the way, and so we can manipulate it. So that means we could do things like know that it was accessed. So maybe we want to record every time someone checks their level, or we want to, you know, let's say on is alive, when that switches to dead, maybe we wanted to record the time of death, and so we had a date time value and we recorded that when you set them to dead. So there's a lot of stuff that you can do as long as you have a property. But if you're accessing a field, you can't do that. So that's the idea. Okay. Is radio probably just being twitchy? Does WebAssembly already work with C#? Toby plays. Yeah, Blazor. It's experimental right now. So because it's called an experiment, that means that at any point Microsoft could just decide to stop doing it. But it does exist, yes. Blazor and Mono can run C# and WebAssembly, but yeah, experimental. Yep. Not for Benny. Yeah, I could have just returned 1, but my goal is that I want to also set the value of... I also want to set the value of the level when I did that, so it was essentially a lazy load. Yeah, so Rubik's, the generally accepted way to work with things is if you're going to have a public accessor, it should be a property. So fields can be private, so it's okay to have private fields, but if anything's going to be publicly accessed, you usually want it to be a property. That's the short answer. Cobalt, provided you get date and time objects from noted time. Yeah, okay. I hope that answers everybody's questions there. Okay, cool. So let's jump back and take a look at what the next piece of our exercise is. So we have starting level, alive or dead, and then the last one is health at 1,000. So our starting points, we're going to say health at 1,000. So property, int. I assume that was an int because it didn't say health at like 1,000.00, so we'll assume that's an integer. Let's jump down here. We're going to duplicate this one more time. So this is going to be our starting conditions test file. Start at 1,000 health. So we're going to say assert equal 1,000 and health. So now when I run these 3 tests, I'm going to use a keyboard shortcut to run them. We should end up with 1 failing and 2 passing tests. And when I look at these, we have 1 failing and 2 passing tests, exactly as we expected. So now we're going to say equals 1,000 on that one. Run the tests again, and everything should be passing then. Very nice. Oh, and sorry, Blub. There you go. Sorry, there was a complaint that the last time I drank Pepsi, I didn't click my Pepsi Man button. So, not sponsored, by the way. Okay, so that passes. Let's take a look at our instructions again. Okay, so this is our starting state of the character. Next step. Characters can deal damage to characters. Okay. So I don't know exactly how I want to write this yet. You're welcome, Blub. The testing framework we're using is XUnit, and yes, my default values are magic numbers for now. This is a programming kata, don't worry about that, we'll extract them somewhere else eventually. So, don't worry about that, it's a programming exercise, we'll extract them to a nice place. Alright, so let's see, what did it call it? Deal damage. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. I'm going to add a new class, and we're going to say deal damage should. So we're going to make a new class for dealing damage. This class is going to have a test in it that we're going to call subtract from enemy health. So deal damage should attract from enemy health. Okay. I think that's the direction we want to go. So I'm going to make a new character. And what I want to do is I want to say deal damage to character. So I need a second character. So here we're going to have me, because it's not VB, so I can say that. And I'm going to say enemy. So me dot deal damage to enemy. What else did it say about dealing damage? Subtracted from health. When damage received exceeds health, health becomes 0 and character dies. Okay. Let's see. Not for Benny, what's my opinion about naming private fields with underscores at the start? Not for Benny, I actually, I do that. So I use an underscore at the beginning of private fields names, and I like that because it gives me a good indication of what the value is. So I know, that's an internal only value, so I don't have to worry about side effects or someone else manipulating it. I know that only the code in here. So it gives me a little bit of a hint there that I can tell just at a glance. I understand that like I can do that by cursoring over something, but in general, I like to not have to notice when I put my cursor over these values, I get information. I like not having to do that as often. So if I can tell at a glance something useful, then I find that also valuable. Cobalt. To answer that question, I use camel casing, so what he's referring to is lowercase first letter for all local values, an underscore prefixed value like this one here for all private fields, and then I use a capital letter for all public, so that I can tell at a glance whether this is public or private. And so effectively the camel case usually tells me that it's internal. So that lets me know, is this a value that is local to my method, or is this a value that is on my class, which is also useful. So that's what the underscore actually distinguishes there. That's a very good point, Cobalt. Okay, so deal damage 2, we're going to create this method, just so that we don't... we'll call that one enemy. That's a reasonable name. And actually, let's leave it throwing a not implemented exception for now. So here's what I want to do. So me deal damage to enemy, then we're going to say assert dot... do we know how much damage we're dealing? Does it say? It doesn't say how much damage we do. I kind of want to know how much damage we're supposed to be doing. Maybe I'll make right now it'll do 100 damage. So, equal. Since I don't actually have that instruction, I will just assume it's 100. And if someone says it's different, then I'll adjust. So let's say the we're expecting 900. And yes, I know, magic number. Enemy dot... I'm going to fix that in a second, don't you worry. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. So this one I'm going to fix quickly, unlike the other one that I'm going to get back to later. Those configuration settings I'm not too worried about yet, because... so this is set up as iterations, so the idea here is that I might come back to that later. So since I think there might be a change, I don't want to over-engineer things because I know we're doing some active development, so I want to leave everything in a good enough state. So I always want it to be good. I don't want anything to be in bad shape, so I want to refactor so that I can be happy with what it is, but I also don't want to go to the extent where, like, I'm building full systems of, like, managing things in a database to store those values, especially when we're still in active development. So that test failed. As we noticed, we expected it to fail. It threw a not implemented exception. When we go to deal damage to enemy, we now realize that we could now do health. So this is bad. I don't like this code that I'm doing here for two reasons. Minus equals 100. There we go. We need a component system. Thanks, Blub. Zenus. This might be off topic, but is there a tutorial or guide regarding SignalR for ASP.NET Core you'd recommend? Microsoft's docs is very lacking. Zenus, yeah, so their docs do need some more stuff, especially in SignalR Core. That's partially because of how new it is. It was only really available as an actual released version as part of ASP.NET Core 2.1. And that's not terribly off topic because we do actually use that technology here on DevChatter. So, if you are looking for that, I don't know what a good tutorial will be. However, I will tell you that we are planning on using SignalR Core more here on the channel. I know you're a regular here, so you'll probably either catch that one, or if you don't, check the video. So ask me again in a couple of weeks, and I should at least be able to point you to the video if we've done something good with SignalR Core. Because a lot of times Just seeing someone implement it is good enough to get you beyond that, and then the docs can fill in everything else. I don't know of a good video on it, though. Okay, so the reason I don't like this deal damage to method that I just wrote here is, first off, that is a magic string that I don't like. These ones I'm less worried about because, like, I can yank these somewhere, but at least they're in this one spot setting values here. So that's kind of like I could set them as a constant, as like this is the starting value, but I don't get a lot out of that. The one I really don't like is this one here. And I don't like this constant for one reason, and then the other thing I don't like about it is I'm accessing the other character object, not myself. So that's weird. Now, the nice part is that I can do that. So I can at least set health to private so that it's not set from outside of the character object, which I'm going to do for now. In fact, I'm going to make all of these private. Also, the question that was asked, I believe, by Rubik's forever ago, of why would you use a property instead of just using a field? This is another reason. Someone else can access my Boolean and integer values, the isAlive, level, and health, so outside of this class, but they now cannot set the value. So I'm able to get access restrictions as well. So, is there a WPF grid control in a library that allows lazy loading sort of and has the capability of neat styling? Cobalt, I am absolutely certain there is, but I don't know which one it is. Check out the component vendor companies. So go look at Telerik, DevExpress, Infragistics, those guys. I haven't actually messed with it in enough years that I don't know which ones you'd want to use. But I would highly recommend you check out those guys because they are always building tools that do all those kinds of nice stuff for you. Also, properties can be put on interfaces. Yes, exactly. Yep. Greendorf, you are totally correct. Can you link this challenge, and where did you get it from? Yeah. I can absolutely link it. We are doing this one right here. I will toss that in there. Okay, so we're doing that damage right there. And now, when I go run these tests in here, this should pass. Click the buttons, run all the tests. You're welcome. I would love to see your solution when you're done. Virtual get properties and interfaces are really cool. Yeah, exactly, Cobalt. What Greendorf was talking about and what Cobalt's confirming here is that in an interface in C#, so not a class, if you've ever seen an interface, public interface, IFOO, right? I can't put a field in here, right? I can't say, private, I can't say, oh, actually I wouldn't be able to say private anyway. I can't say int, level, right? That's not allowed. That's a this is not a property. See, it says interfaces cannot contain fields. Because an interface doesn't really exist. It's more like this is a set of methods, is basically what it is, that a class has to have. But I could say get. And so I can have, this is not named correctly, is what that's complaining about, but I can have this. And so now a character could be an IFOO because it has a level property with a get method on it. So that's sort of how that works. So that's another nice thing about properties. Okay. Let's run that again because I messed it up and I just want it to run and definitely work. But I know it's going to pass, so we're going to jump back here. So damage is subtracted from health. When damage received exceeds current health, health becomes 0 and the character dies. Okay, so here is what we're going to do to make this work. We are going to do this. Deal damage should make character dead given enough damage done. So, key things that I want to point out about what I named here. Welcome, SMB. Glad we could get you some better explanation on that, Rubik's. So the way I named this test, first off, I made on the left-hand side what I expect to happen. So when you read this, it's deal damage should make character dead, and then given enough damage done. Notice I didn't say, 1,000 damage done or something like that. I could have said, like, reduce below 0 or something along those lines, and that would have been another perfectly fine thing. But I want to try to avoid having the specifics of our current configuration in the name when I can, so that this name lasts a little longer. That way, later on, if we change these values and I came in and I changed the test, so for example, let's say the starting health became 500, I wouldn't then want to have to change the test name and have it be wrong. So with this, you can just read the values in the code and not be confused by a name that doesn't match the values. So that's my way of making sure the documentation stays up to date. Find a way of phrasing that's accurate, even if it's not specific. So that's the goal there. So in this case, 0 would be the word that you could put in there. And Alan is good. Welcome. Thanks for following. So for this, we want to, quote, do enough damage. So what I'm going to do is this. I am actually just going to do a for loop, and I'm going to say 10 times I am going to do this. So I'm going to deal damage 10 times. Now, did it say to 0 or below 0? Exceeds current health, becomes 0, health becomes 0, and the character dies. Okay. So, character's dead given enough damage. So, what I want to do is, I want to say assert false, and I want to say enemy.isalive. So, I want to make sure that if I hit them 10 times, they become dead. Sharkdeed, do I think the migration feature in EF6 is bad? I cannot comprehend why EF core team don't want to implement it. Sharkdeed, how does the... I guess I don't know the complexity of it, so... yeah, VX Siri, that's a temporary thing to make this work, because I have a couple of things that I need to adjust about it. False, true. Okay. So, at the end of the iteration, I intend to do a little bit of refactoring of this code, so do not worry. Because we have this broken out into an iteration, my goal is complete the iteration, then do a bit of refactoring. I'd say the migration feature in general is good, but I have a distaste for EF in general. Yeah, there are a lot of people that have that opinion, Cobalt. I personally like Dapper as my favorite, my current favorite ORM tool. It is a micro ORM, but, everybody likes different things. Well, I gotta watch German. Have fun, Rubik's. If only Stackify Moonlight was better, I would use that instead. Ah, yeah, see Greendorf? Dapper. It's great. Yep, I agree. Okay, so here is what I want to do. Oh, Rubik's, before you go! Rubik's, don't leave yet! Rubik's! Hang on! Look! So, is alive. I get to do this. I get to say, if enemy... actually, no, I want to do it on this one. I want to do when health is set down to 0, so I'm going to do this. On the setter for health, I want to do an actual property for this. So we're going to have an actual health value. And then on my set, I'm going to actually apply this. So I'm going to say if underscore health is less than or equal to 0, I want to say is alive equals false. So whenever I set the value of health, I am going to lower that, I'm going to make the character dead. I'd make the is alive property an auto getter. Oh yeah, Greendorf. Yeah, we could do that. That would absolutely work. I was just trying to show this, how that property actually can work there. But yeah, you're right. We could do an auto... Greenduff, I was about to comment that we could do an expression-bodied method, or an expression-bodied property, and there you are suggesting we fat arrow the thing into an expression-bodied property. So, yep. No, I just wanted to show this because this is exactly what Rubik's asked, so I was hoping I could get it in there before Rubik's left. So, yep. Okay, so, let's see. So the tests pass, so that's fun. Hooray for passing tests. The next thing that I want to do is this. Let's go over here, and I like that idea. So we have a couple of tests on this, so let's change is alive to be a property that says... Oh, actually, before I do that, so I'm going to keep that on the back burner, Greendolf, and we're going to talk about maybe doing that. Deegan, what is your game going to be? I have no experience with coding. So this is actually just an exercise right here. I mean, I guess in theory we could take this RPG combat system and make it into a full game if we wanted. But right now, this is just, you know, more an exercise for fun than anything else. Do you sometimes use the not null attribute of resharper? Cobalt, not usually. I don't usually. And Greendolf, thank you for posting our GitHub in chat there. Oh yeah, if you're talking about Rock, Paper, Scissors, Boom, that is another one of our projects. Okay, so let's jump back to this code. So let's bring this up. This is what we're working on. So damage is subtracted from health when exceeds that. Okay, health becomes 0 and the character dies. So here is what I want to do. I want to do one more test. So we said... So I did this. I said this was a private setter. I'm going to change that. I'm not going to make that private right now because I want to be able to test it a little easier. So I'm getting rid of the private setter there. And I'm going to make this a little easier. So what we're going to do is this. I am going to make the enemy character start off with 100 health. So that I only need to deal damage to him once in order to kill him. Now again, I don't like the 100 here, but maybe I should just set it to 1 so he's guaranteed dead? So we're going to do that. So we'll set it to 1, he's guaranteed to be dead. We will kill him, you always would be doing at least 1 damage. Yep, there you go, Cobalt. And don't worry, I'm not sponsored by Telerik either. Although I did work there for a while. Oh, actually, that's funny. So, Cobalt, did I ever tell you what company I worked with C# Fritz at? Fritz and I worked for Telerik for some years together. So that's actually how I know C# Fritz. We both worked there. So, I do not work there anymore, though. Yep, that is how Fritz and I know each other. So then we would hang out at like the Microsoft MVP Summit and that sort of thing together. Basically, we would make like a wall of people. Oh, yeah. So DevExpress is also very good. I know all the I know the whole DevExpress team too. So they're all awesome. I like those guys. I like the Infragistics people too. So there's a lot of good people at those companies. Okay, so we said make the character dead given enough damage. But why don't we say floor health at 0, regardless of damage done. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm actually just going to say we're going to deal damage twice, guarantee we're absolutely below 0. So even if deal damage only did 1 damage, doing it twice is totally going to kill this guy because he's only at 1. So I'm not going to assert that his that is false. I want to assert that his health is at 0. So I'm going to say floor his health at 0 means I'm going to attack this character twice, and I want to guarantee that his health is still set to 0. So this test should fail right now. He should be going negative. But all I need to do to make that work is... So see, it. I expected 0, but it was actually negative 199. Okay, so we're going to change this. We are going to go in here to health, and we're going to say if health is less than 0, less than or equal to 0, then not only are we setting is alive to false, but we're going to set, if I can type, I can't type apparently, underscore health equals 0. Burp. Okay, there we go. Health 0 is alive, false. Okay, so now when I run this, the test should pass. Yeah, Cobalt. I actually knew all of them before because I worked for, don't kill me people, I worked for an advertising company, so I literally worked for a company that showed banner ads to developers. So rather than getting mad at me for showing ads, they were never the bad ones, never ones that made noise, never ones that did pop-ups or pop-unders or anything like that, never anything that moved over the screen, always just banner ads that were off to the side. So in many ways you should thank me, because that's actually what supports all those article sites. So be happy about ads, not because they're annoying and clutter things, but because they actually pay for the articles that you read. So, Fonzie, you use DevExpress as good control. Oh, cool! See, there you go. Oh, and actually, we had a DevExpress employee as a guest on the show one time. Mark Miller was here as a pair programmer one time. Let's see. So we floored that. We have that. Okay, so this is here. When damage received exceeds our current health, health becomes 0 and the character dies. Effendiri, welcome. Thanks for following. A character can heal. A character can heal a character. Dead characters cannot be healed. Ooh, that's important. Healing cannot raise health above 1,000. Okay, so now reading this, I can actually tell now that we want to extract out those values. So we're going to put this in, and then we're going to extract out that value that people wanted us to extract out. So this is the point. So remember that you don't actually want to do any of the refactoring and making things, like really great until you need it. So that's how we avoid over-engineering. Okay, so we did deal damage should. The next thing that I am going to create is heal damage should, or heal should. Yeah, heal should. Heal, yeah. So do we heal another character, I think? A character can heal a character. Okay. So actually I'm going to say heal character should. Rename it to that. So let's rename the file to match the type. Now I am going to make another test here. And I am going to say heal character should raise health of injured character. Okay, so now that we have this, I want to say var me equals new character. Var to heal equals new character. So there's me, there's him, and I want to heal this guy. So that means we're going to set his health equal to 1. So there's his starting health. So now that we have his health set there, when I say me dot heal character, character, if I can spell the word, to heal, then what I want to have happen is assert dot equal. We're gonna say 100 is the amount we heal here also for now, because we don't have anything otherwise. So make sure his health is now 101. Okay. And yeah, don't worry, we're gonna fix all those variables. So all the magic numbers and magic strings, we're gonna fix those when we finish the iteration. So there we go. Let's jump back here, and we're gonna run this test now. It should throw a not implemented exception. There we go, not implemented. Okay, great. Let's go back here. Next thing we're going to do is this. I am just going to remove the code, and now I'm going to run the test again. Now you might ask, why did I remove the code and run it again? And that is the first time I wanted to make sure it was calling my code, so that's why I leave the throw not implemented exception in there. Once I see the not implemented exception, then I know, okay, let's test it and make sure that it fails for the right reason. So I can read this and say, okay, it failed because it expected 101 and it actually was 0. So I know with confidence that it's running my code and that my code did not modify the health of that character. So let's go back to character and say character, character dot health plus equals 100. And yes, both of those values are going to get extracted out. Don't worry, they're going away. We will refactor that as soon as we get to the point where we want to complete the iteration. Okay, so healing works. Next thing, a dead character cannot be healed. So now we want to make a fact that says, so remember, it's heal character should do nothing given dead character. So we cannot heal a dead character. So I'm going to change this guy's name to dead guy. Health equals 0. Is alive. Oh, hang on. I need to change that. I can't set it. We're going to get rid of those privates for now, just so I can do that. Is alive equals false. Hang on, let me catch up in chat. Greendorf, do I have any tips or tools for automated integration tests for ASP.NET Core? Greendorf, you mean like automatically sets up a bunch of tests for like running your web API? I do, but that is not something that I want to get into today. So I've had to do that in a couple of projects in the past, and there are some tools that will basically get you some help with writing that will automate some integration testing for calling your APIs. But definitely not something to jump into today. So we're going to say heal character, and we want to make sure that their health is still 1, so it did not change. Oh, health is still 0, I should say. And C# Fritz and friends, welcome. I appreciate the auto host there. So if you are just hearing my voice, welcome. Hopefully you're having a fantastic Saturday and are looking forward to writing some C# and .NET Core code with us. So welcome to DevChatter. My name is Brendan, and together we're going to keep writing a little bit of code. We're actually doing a programming exercise today that I will link in chat again, since there are probably some new people here. So let's grab that, post this in chat. You'll only see that link, you only have that as a link if you join the actual chat, so we'll post it again if you need it. Okay, so we have our dead guy here, and he can't be healed, so we're expecting his health to remain at 0, and to remain dead. Now that code doesn't work yet, we're actually going to heal him, so we'll heal the dead! Okay, let's see why it failed first off. So the first failure is that the heal actually happened. So it expected 0 but actually had 100. So it healed him. So we don't want that to be the case. So we're going to go down to heal character, and we'll say if is alive, then heal. Now I could do that backwards and return if they're not alive. It's really up to you how you want to write that, but that's the way we're going to do that one. So now when we run this code, expected 0, actual 100. Wait, hang on. Dead guy was dead. Is alive, false. Hang on. What? If is oh, whoops. Derp, 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 derp. I'm Metallica, welcome. You're an interface. F#. I have tried F# before. I used it a bunch of years ago, And we've actually had an F... So, funny thing, for anyone who's a regular here and also watches C# Fritz, the day that he started his F# Fridays, it was really funny because that was the day after I had an F# programmer as a guest on the stream. So I thought it was hilarious when Fritz is like, I'm going to start an F# thing, and I'm like, your timing is hilarious, dude. I have an F# developer as a guest. We did not do F#. He was an F# developer, but didn't feel like doing F# that day, so we did C#. However, he is someone that we're going to bring back on the stream again, and we'll probably do some F# together, and I've got a couple of other F# developers that I intend to bring back as well. So, let's continue on. Let's make this test pass. So, the nice thing is that would have been a nasty bug if I didn't have this test. So that test caught my goof there when I just didn't do that right. I checked whether my character was alive, not whether the character to heal was alive. So let's say we'll say character to heal is alive, character to heal health. I feel like I'd need to work with someone on an F# project to really get... Exactly, Greendorf. That's the idea. If you want to really learn a language, the best way to do it is to actually go program in it. And especially for something like F#, where there's a paradigm shift for a lot of us, because most of us are used to object-oriented or procedural programming, it is definitely a change that you need to get used to. Okay, so our tests are passing here. Let's take a look at our instructions again. Whoops. So in our instructions, it says dead characters cannot be healed. Healing cannot raise above health 1000. Okay, so we need to verify this piece. And then once that one is in place, we should be good. I don't want to test that one. I want to grab this test. So I want to say heal characters should never heal above starting health. So that is our test name for now. And I will find out momentarily whether or not that is something that is going to stick around. So we're going to say that. So we have character to heal. He's going to start out as a regular character. We're going to heal him. And we want to make sure that his health remains at 1000. So we'll just heal... we'll do it twice. We'll heal twice. So right now that is going to go to like 1200. So expected 1000, actual 1200. So that's fine. What we're going to do is this. We're going to go in here and say if character is alive, and then I could put it in the heal character method. That's one way, and I think I may. So what I'm going to do is this. I'm going to say if character to heal dot health is greater than, and I'm going to hard code the 1000. You'll see why I'm hard coding these for now. These look like magic numbers and magic strings, but I will make them go away. So I'm going to set the health back down to 1000. Now keep in mind that I also could do like make a number and do like a max thing and say, or the min value of whether this is higher or the max value and things. But those tricks are like just that. They're tricks. They're ways of writing the code. I can do them. I've written them, but they generally just confuse another developer when they see it. So anyone can look at this and know exactly what this code's doing. If you ever need to do something that's confusing or weird, though, hide it inside of a method and give it a good name and a description. That way, if your code is ever like, oh wow, that code's kind of like hard to understand, well, make sure it's encapsulated into a method and easy to read. Gabriel, hello. Welcome. Welcome. Glad to have a Brazilian here. Hello from the United States, the north of you. Alrighty. I do actually wonder, people that show up, how obvious is it that I'm from the United States, given my, I should say my accent and things like that. I do sound like an American. I could easily be fooled for a Canadian, though. Oh, Hey, see, we got a Brazilians in here. Glad to have you here. Welcome, Gabriel and Metallica. Okay, so at this point, cannot raise above 1,000. Let's see if our tests pass. If all of these pass, I'm going to do my refactoring spree that I told you I was going to do. Okay, cool. So we're at a good point. We're at the end of our iteration, and we want to clean things up. So I have some code that I am not a huge fan of yet, but before we get to that, I need to do something. I want to go here, open in File Explorer, open git bash here. So I am in here, and I am going to go up a level, and I am going to say git init. Whoop, no, git init. What are you talking about? There we go. Okay, git add. Alright, there we go. We're initted. We're a git repo. So now what I want to do is this. I want this to keep track of this. I think I can drag it in. Yep, add that repository, please. Okay. So now before I commit this, I need to do a couple of things. I want to have a... Where is it? Repository settings. There we go. Ignored files. Now let's see. I need the default one. So here's what I am going to do. I am going to go over to our code base here, and I'm going to steal this gitignore file that we have right here, knowing that this is one that was designed for Visual Studio. Hop over here, paste that in. There we go. And you'll notice as soon as I did that gitignore file in here, this all cleared up. Alright, so perfect. Okay, that is great. So, first things first. Adding my gitignore. So I'm going to commit that, and yes, I'm committing it to master. Literally, this isn't pushed anywhere yet, so yeah, I'm putting it right on master. This is the initial commits. Iteration 1 complete needs refactoring. Okay, so my commit message told me that I need some refactoring on this, and I am going to nice it up because of that. Oh, and for anybody who's in here that is not a native English speaker, never worry about your bad English. You don't need to apologize about it. If that's not your native language and you say something weird, that's fine. We'll try to figure it out. That is one of the challenges. Language barriers on the internet. Very common. Not all of us speak the same ones. So don't be embarrassed. Say it as best you can, and we will try to assist. And by we, I mean like all of us will try to help out. Okay, so here's the cool thing. I mentioned to you not to worry about the fact that I was going to add in some extra magic integers here. Don't worry, because I'm going to extract these as a constant. So notice using this tool, I'm going to replace all three occurrences. I am going to set this as a constant, and I am going to say starting underscore health. Yes, I do use that naming convention. And I am going to make this a public constant on these. Oh, no. Oh, you jerk. I didn't want that name. I wanted starting health. And yeah, I'm going to have to fight this for changing this setting here. Renamed. What the? Change naming rule constant fields. Not private. I want all upper. There we go. Okay. Nocta, you're Danish. I have worked with some Danish people in previous companies. And you always say something weird. Well, there you go. Conrad Reuter, welcome back. I think the initial health, I think I like initial health more, but it comes down to the same meaning. Oh, actually, yeah. Initial health. Yeah, that is, I like that better also. Initial, whoops, health. Good suggestion. I like that better also. By the way, everyone, naming things is difficult. Okay, so that is initial health. Let's see. So the next thing that I want to do is I want a constant on the 100 as well. Probably on healing and on damage, but I'm not going to get that just yet. Now, I'm not going to extract out these values, and the reason why is this. I'm not currently using them anywhere. So I'm not worried about those being magic strings because they are setting a field. So because they're doing this field initialization, I'm not worried about them. If I were using them elsewhere, I would absolutely extract them out as a value. But in this case, there's not really a lot of benefit to doing it. But this one there is, because this is used in other places, not just to set it, but also that we say it is the max value that we can go to. So we have that restriction. So now when I run these tests, I should be able to click over here, say run unit tests. It's going to go through all these again, and even with my refactoring, it should still pass. So that's great. Now what I want to do is I want to go to these tests. So now that we've confirmed that it still works with that part of the refactoring, I'm going to refactor the tests to use this property as well. So these thousands, for example, I want it to be like character.initialHealth is now what I want to use instead of 1,000. So never heal above starting health. And I called it starting. That's fine. Initial health, starting health. I think anyone's going to understand that that language is the same thing. Okay, so that is healing a character. When I go to damaging a character, I want to see the same kind of thing. So over here I have this 900. So now I have this minus 100 is what we expect. So let's run all the tests again, and we're going to make sure they all still pass. Okay, I think we need a character builder type. A builder. Yes, Greendorf, what a great plan. We'll have a builder. Actually, I will say, using a builder pattern for testing is actually a very good thing. I'm not going to jump into that for this because it's a programming exercise, so we want to keep it a little simpler. Nocta, you have a job interview for a position in Denmark. Conrad has a... Oh, that's very cool, Conrad. Good luck. Functional languages for so long seeing an object-oriented feels looks weird. Yeah, Metallica, it is yes. Object-oriented and functional languages look different than each other, even though they achieve a lot of the same stuff. I think max health would be even more fitting. So Conrad, so max health could be, but right now it is the initial. If we ever separate it and use and say that the max health and the initial health are not the same thing, then I will absolutely do that. And yeah, spam some DevChatter hype emotes in chat for luck. So anybody who is a subscriber in the channel has these nice DevChatter hype emotes. They're little dinosaurs with the hype sign. Let's spam those in chat and give some good luck on that job interview there. So character should start at the starting health, so we're going to put that in there, character initial health. And now our unit tests should all pass. Thank you, Greendolf. There we go. That works like a charm. Okay, so extract initial health constant. And yeah, we might do the max health thing. We'll see. So we did that. Now let's take a look also at this. Is there anything else that really needs to come out? I kind of want to do the default healing and damage right now. But just because we have those hundreds, so here's the deal. If I do a find and replace in my code base and I look for the number 1000 in my entire solution, you'll see right now that Pimplack, hello. Welcome. Thanks for the biddy. You'll notice that the 1000 appears here and then in a name, and that's fine. I'm not worried about that here. The next thing is if I search this code base for 100, I look for 100. I'm going to find that at the 1000, but I'm also going to find it here where we actually apply these, and then I'm going to find it here as well. So you'll see that I actually used it inside of a test. So that's a more interesting one. So we'll need to look at that, see if we can extract that out, but I'm concerned that this code might change, so I don't want to do that yet. So I want to call that good. Let's take a look at our next step in the instructions. So we are doing all of iteration 1. Let's take a look at iteration 2. Now a character cannot deal damage to itself. Okay, that's cool. Yeah, see, so we said character deals damage to character, so we need to prevent that now. So this is going to be part of dealing damage. So we're going to add this to our dealing damage tests. So we're going to say fact public void. So deal damage should not deal damage to self. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to say var me equals new character. And then we're going to say me.deal damage to me. Assert dot equal, and we're going to say character dot initial health and me. So essentially we're going to say, me dot health. We're going to say that this value should not have changed when we run that. So there's our first piece there. Let's see. I'm going to catch up on chat real quick. I've been using Clojure and Elixir for the past 5 to 6 years. My free time, I play with F#. That's actually really awesome, Metallica. I like C#. I like F#. I like a lot of programming languages. Lots of good ones out there. What's your experience? My only thing with C# Java languages, they are so verbose. Yeah, you can get very verbose in C# and Java. Verbose just means like lots of words. There's a lot of text. You can be a lot simpler and more concise. So smaller, less code to say the same thing in other languages is what I think he's saying there. Mayan Anger. You waste more time writing things that you should be inferred by the compiler automatically if we're talking about strong statically compiled languages. Yeah. So Metallica, there's actually there are ways you can write the languages. To not have to do that as much, where the compiler can be a little smarter about it. Okay, so here's why we failed. We expected to have health of 1,000, but we actually got 900, so that means that we were able to deal damage to ourselves. We expected that because we didn't block that before. So let's go to deal damage 2, and we're going to say if enemy equals this, if enemy does not equal this. So we're going to say, as long as we're not trying to damage ourselves, this will work. So let's jump back here. We're going to run these tests again. And this time we're hoping it's going to succeed. And yeah, Conrad is actually correct. If you take a look at C#'s 6, 7, 7.1, 7.2, 7.3, they're doing a lot of amazing things for C#. So the language is getting way, way better for anyone that is wondering about that. They're always working on it. And Metallica, have you looked at what is planned for C# 8? So in C# 6 and 7, they were planning on getting types to be closer to what they are in F# by doing something called a default constructor. It was supposed to be in C# 6 and C# 7, but they didn't make it in. But it is now planned in C# 8 to have something called a record type, and that'll be a lot closer to what is in F#. So Metallica, if that is one of your complaints about C#, when they add record types into C#, that is actually going to make a little bit of that disappear. Okay, what other language do you use daily basis besides C#? JavaScript, I actually 6 months ago was doing a lot of Java. And welcome, Mayan Anger, thanks for following. I did a lot of Java code not that long ago, Android development. But lately my code's mostly C#. Looks like it's getting complex as Scala. Yeah, so different languages, people have different opinions on different things, different preferences, and that's totally fine. Okay, so we prevent characters from dealing damage to itself. Character can only heal itself. Okay, so we were intentionally healing other characters before, but now we need to only heal ourselves. So now we're going to do this. So we're going to say, so this is going to break our tests. Character to heal equals, does not equal this, then I'm going to return. So we're going to do that way just because this one had extra logic in it. So we're going to return if it's not us. And actually, let me write the test before I write that code. What are you doing, Brendan? So raise health of injured character, so health equals 1. So we're going to do this. Actually, I'm going to duplicate this test first. So we're gonna make this one say, heal character should do nothing, given trying to heal someone else. So we're gonna do that. So me to heal a character, and then that should still be 1. So in this one, we're gonna make to heal do their healing of themselves. And we're going to do it here also. So we need to fix the old tests, because their logic is going to change. So we're going to break these tests and then fix them real quickly. Do nothing given dead character. So dead guy cannot heal self? Okay, yep, that seems fair. Alright, there we go. So right now I'm going to break these tests. I'm going to break like all these tests, and then I'm going to fix them. Okay, C# is getting there. You can never remove features, only add them. Yeah, that is definitely a problem with programming languages. It's hard to remove features. And that's actually... And yeah, my in anger is actually correct. So that is actually the problem Java has had for a long time, is it's having trouble keeping up with C#. Java's fine after the added lambda functions, maybe just added an async await construct. Yeah, Java, the problem with Java is it fell behind C#. It needs to keep up a little bit. And it's, I mean, not that it doesn't have other problems too, but C# has problems as well. All programming languages have problems. Ship, welcome. Given trying to heal someone else, do nothing given trying to heal someone else. So this test is failing because I need to write this code. So what we're working on right now is we are doing a programming exercise called RPG Combat, and I will link this in chat. And my in anger, this could become a Unity game if we wanted to, but for now, this is actually just a programming exercise. We could take this code and do whatever we want with it, but the exercise is basically doing a little bit of RPG Combat based on this set of instructions. And it's sort of set up like real-world situations, so you do an iteration at a time. So this is your requirements for this iteration, and then you get your next set of requirements. So we're doing one set of requirements at a time. So that's how this is working here. What chatter program, by the way? My in anger, if you're wondering about the chat, is our chatbot down or up? It's up. Okay, so that is our own custom chatbot that we write in here. So we do that. That's our normal project here on the stream. The DevChatter bot that responded there when I typed that command, that is our bot. It has fun games in it, like roulette, for example. That will yeah, do weird stuff like that. And it also has other games like Hangman. Oh, and sorry about that, iMetallica. The bot does not let you post links in chat. So if it thinks you posted a link, it will block it. But you guys can send links to each other in private messages if you want. Okay, so now that that works... yeah, that works, iMetallica. Okay, so a character can only heal itself. So all of our tests are passing, right? Let's just run this again. Whoop, tests are passing. Good. Okay, so that's the character heal itself. Cannot damage self, and then when dealing damage, if the target is 5 or more levels above the attacker, damage is reduced by 50%. 5 or more levels below, damage is increased by 50%. Oh, so we're adjusting damage now. That sounds fun. That is a really long word. Oh, you're right, you're right. Yep, that's the word. Good job, XD. Well done. There you go. Is the language on top of the Erlang virtual machine? Looks like Ruby, but it's quite different from Ruby. Oh, I didn't actually know that. I know some people that program in Erlang. Okay, so now we've got a bit of complexity that we have to deal with. And actually, I kind of want to do... there's a piece of refactoring I wish we did before the iteration ended, but that's fine. We'll get to it. So, deal damage to right now. All these are getting a little bit more complicated than I want, so we're going to have to come back and clean these at the end of the iteration. So that's going to be my plan, is we're going to refactor when we get to the end of the iteration. So let's go ahead and say... so enemy is not that. So I'm going to flip this like we did before. So I'm going to reverse this logic. So I think we do it like this. Invert the if. There we go. And now add braces. So we're going to do that. We're going to say if it's not us, do that. And so that lets us get away with this. So I want to say base damage equals 100. Well, actually, let's see. Instead of calling it base damage, we're going to say damage. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to say deal damage should. I'm going to say fact public void deal more damage given weaker enemy. So your enemy's weaker, you do more damage. So we're going to say steal this code here. Put it down here. We're going to say, because I want to be explicit, we're going to say level of the enemy is 1. And we're going to say our level equals 6. So we're level 6, he's level 1. That means we expect to deal more damage. So when we damage the enemy, we want to say character dot initial health minus 150. Now I do not like this 150. This is getting refactored. We are cleaning this one up. So we're expecting the enemy health to have lowered by more than usual. Now this is not going to pass yet because we need to get this fixed. Catching up on chat here. Joe Boo! Awesome! Love the name, by the way. Joe Boo 42, welcome. Yeah, so we're doing a little bit of katas. We've been mentioning for a while we were going to get back to doing some programming katas on stream, so glad you're here. And yeah, we are absolutely doing tests. I would love to be pair programming, but we don't have a guest today. Doing good stuff, having fun. And Joe Boo, is that actually a reference to Joe Boo, like, you know, from the Major League movie, or is that entirely different Joe Boo? Because if it is, that would be hilarious. If not, that's still cool. I like the name. Alright, so let's see. We want to make this pass, so in order to do that... And thank you for following Joe Boo and Metallica. Welcome. Yeah, no, Greendorf, I probably am going to start having some like subscriber pair programmers at some point. So stick around. And thank you for the follows, which I think I said already, but thanks anyway. So here's what we want to do. We want to say if level, we want to say we're at least 5 more than them. So we want to say if enemy.level Hang on, let me clarify. Let me read the code again. Just want to make sure. Was it 5 or more levels? So it's equals 5. So if level minus 5 is greater than or equal to enemy.level, and just to be super clear, even though it is totally unnecessary, you'll notice it's so unnecessary that even grays them out very slightly for me. I'm going to put that in there. So, Jobu, from the next week I'll resume the code on a chat system built in Elixir. Oh, that's pretty cool. Yeah, no, learning by doing is absolutely what you want to do. For anyone who's in chat, I am planning on doing a Learn to Code stream. I should mention this. Let me pull it back up again. I am planning to do a Learn to Code stream, and I have a poll. I'm trying to get people to let me know when would be a good day. So what we're going to do is we're going to have people install VS Code. So that is Microsoft's simple editor. And we're going to do a Learn to Code stream in C#, so it's going to be follow along exercises and things like that that are easy enough for beginner programmers or just someone new to C# to be able to follow along and write some code in C#. Should be fun. But either way, go ahead and vote on that so you can let me know which day you want us to do that. So, cool. So if they're this, then I want to say damage equals, let's do times equals 1.5. Damage equals damage plus 50. So I could say plus equals 50, right? Because I don't want to deal with actually changing the type and doing multiplications on that, so I'm just going to add that for now. And then let's do this. So that is for strong enemies. I guess I'll just copy in a moment to do the weak strong enemies. I mean, this is weak enemies. We'll see if I got the logic right. Okay, I did. And welcome, Hey Broken. Thanks for following. And Rubix, thank you for the sub. Much appreciated. I will dance in a moment once it figures out the thing, but I don't know. Maybe it won't. Thank you, Bill and Steve, for dancing there with us. And everybody make sure you spam your DevChatter hype emotes in chat. Welcome the new subscriber to the club. It's a good one. So, deal more damage given a weaker enemy. Deal less damage given stronger enemy. Stronger enemy. So now we're going to flip these. We're going to be a 1, and he's going to be a 6. So, and Gabriel, thank you for the follow there, Gabriel. Much appreciated. Thank you, everyone. You've all been pretty awesome today, I have to say. Chat's been really good. So now when we run this test, and the couple of things I want to do before we finish this iteration, I want to refactor our tests to simplify them a little bit, because I think that will make things much nicer. But then in addition, I want to clean up our code as well. So we want to do a little bit of refactoring, make this a little nicer, and I think the end of an iteration is a great time to do that. So let's reverse this and say if okay, so I can flip this and I could say enemy.level minus 5 is greater than or equal to our level. Then we minus equals that. I think is how we want to do that. Let's take a look. And please enjoy your hype emote. So whenever we do something awesome in chat, please feel free to spam the hype emote in chat. Yeah, like what Wheelspin's doing right there. It's good stuff. Alright, so let's take a look at... whoops, not that one. This one. So this iteration, reduce damage by 50%. Damage is increased by 50% when dealing damage. Okay, so that looks perfect. So we are done with iteration 2. Iteration 2 complete. And we're going to say needs refactoring. Refactoring. Okay, so now we've got that one committed as well, and it's time to clean up our code. Okay. So, first things first. I noticed that we have this value all over the place. This 100 is everywhere. I want this to be a constant. I want this to be a public constant, and I'm going to call it base damage. So this is base damage. So damage, base damage, there we go. So that'll pull out the 100. Whoop. Gabriel, I'm not sure what you got blocked by on there. I'm assuming Nightbot must have thought you posted a link, even though you probably didn't. Sorry about that. It's a little overzealous sometimes. It gets confused. The bot's not so good about knowing what's a link and what isn't. Okay, so here's what we're gonna do. So we pulled out the 100 value from there as base damage. Now I want to go into our tests and find all uses of the 100 damage first off. So these are the adjustments. So initial health minus character dot base damage. So there's that one. Okay, 101, that's healing. Okay, so here's the deal. So we did this. I am now going to extract some methods. Yeah, Greendorf. It thought cluster.java was a link. For anybody that's wondering in chat there, that's what Nightbot thought was a link. Cluster.java. Okay, so here is the deal. So I did this plus equals on these two spots, but I don't think I want to do that. What I want to do is this. I want to make a method that is going to get the damage amount. So this is base damage, but what I want to do is get damage. So I want to make some little helper methods here. So this is not going to be perfect, so I'm going to do this. I'm going to say equals damage plus 50. And I'm going to say equals damage minus 50. So I know that I can do plus equals and minus equals as operators in C#, and that effectively does the same code I have here, but the reason I did this is that I want to do this. I want to say base damage minus that is what we're setting it to. So now I can go here and I can say, whoops, wrong keyboard shortcut. Haha. I want to make a method here. Are you kidding me? This won't give me a method? Extract me a method. Please extract me a method? Please? Keyboard shortcuts? Alright, I don't know why my keyboard shortcut wasn't working. Alright, so here's what we're going to do. Out. Damn, no. We're going to do this. Control-Shift-R. Extract method. We're going to say get weak enemy damage. This one is going to be Control-Shift-R method get strong enemy damage. Hopefully that's clear. Yeah, that was weird. White space is important. Yes, it is. Nowadays, it's an issue creating a cluster if you deploy to Docker. Exactly. There are tools that handle that. So you no longer need to do that yourself. Okay, so now I need to look for the 50 and the 150 in here. So that's this. So we're going to say... so notice, I want to point this out. I extracted a method. Now here's the cool thing. when I extracted the method, the tooling was really smart here. It noticed I was using a constant value on the type. I was using an inline literal value. And in addition, I was just returning back a value. So since I was using no fields, no properties, nothing that is specific to this code, this instance of this object, it automatically made it static, which is neat. The problem, it did make it private. Now I think I had the option to change that, but didn't. So we're going to make them public for now. And the reason I'm going to do that is because I want to use it here. So I want to say character dot which one am I replacing? So character dot get what is this? Weak enemy. So get weak enemy health. So I'm going to extract this as a variable. So expected health equals that. So expected health. There you go. And actually, I'm just going to say expected. It was a little shorter, a little easier. And I did that because otherwise my assert was going to get kind of ugly. So I pulled that out so it's a little clearer. Metallica, enjoy your beers. Have a fun Saturday. So I'm going to extract this variable out as well. Also call it expected. And now for this one, I'm going to say character dot get strong enemy damage. Now what's nice about this is because we have these inside of these methods, if we change the values, then we don't have to worry about it. So we're just knowing what the damage is that we're expecting to have applied here. Now I'm going to run these tests and make sure everything still works. Okay, everything's still passing. Now let's look around for 50 in my solution. So notice now that the only instances of 50 are here inside of the calculations for those values. So we no longer have that spread throughout our code. Now the fact that it's a 5-level difference is still spread around the code, but I'm not too worried about that one yet. It's small. So let's extract damage adjustments. So we're going to pull those out, make that a little nicer. And then the next thing that I want to do is clean up these tests just a little bit if I can. I'm wondering if I can have it set up these characters for me each time. So let's see. Well, I could initialize them with values. I'm not sure there's a much better way to do it just yet. I don't think there's a good extraction I can do for these values, so we're gonna skip it for now. And we'll come back if these end up getting too much messier. We'll clean them up, but they don't look too bad just yet. So, and again, I don't want to get bogged down in just refactoring the whole time. So we'll see how that goes. And I do want to mention to anybody that is in here and is new, a couple of things. All the code we do on here on stream, including this, is actually going to get posted to our GitHub account. I just linked in chat. All the code we do here is open source. It's all on github.com/devchatter. So if you want to see any of it, you can go there and check it out. And not that you need to follow it now, but I just want to make sure you know. And in addition, we have a Discord chat that we use here. So if you want to chat with us after the stream, that is another place you can go to just chat with us about coding and things like that. And I linked both of those in chat there. Okay, so we got that iteration working. Let's take a look at the next one. Iteration 3. Characters have an attack max range. Ooh, we have range in our combat. This is going to be fun. Melee fighters have a range of 2 meters, and ranged fighters have a range of 20 meters. Okay, so some people can attack from a distance, some up close. And characters must be in range to deal damage to a target. Whew! Okay. So now we have a couple of ways we can sort of consider how we want to build our system now. So we could have some kind of a calculation of distance between the characters, so we could see, like, maybe they've got coordinates, maybe they're on a grid, maybe they're positioned somewhere. We're going to have to think about how we want to design that. So, okay. Whew. So right now we've got a bit of a challenge because we haven't considered this up till now, that our characters are going to be moving around somewhere. So up to this point, our RPG has been much more like a classic, you know, think like Nintendo or Super Nintendo style RPG where it's turn-based and, you know, like one guy's attacking the other guy or something like that, and it's not really worried because they can all reach each other, so we don't have that worry about range. But now we have this idea that they're positioned somewhere. Okay, so let's think about how we want to do that. Do we want... So we don't have a map, but we might have a location. So I am going to make a location class. So we don't have a map, but we might have, like... an X coordinate, which I guess we can actually just use a coordinate for, but we're going to make our own for now. Zoom on a grid. One space away. Not sure. That might be getting weird. So if we have a location, we could then have a method. So I'm writing code not because this is the code we're going to use, but kind of because it helps me think about the problem. So I don't know if all of you are like this also, but so distance from. So I like to just kind of fiddle through something and just see like how's this work. So distance from, and then we're going to say return 0 for now. But you could do distance from another location and sort of figure this out. So we can write a little method that does distance calculations between these. I'm just wondering if this is getting too complicated, or whether we shouldn't just, you know, simplify for the sake of the testing and just have fake locations with fake distances for now. So essentially mocking this out for the sake of testing, which maybe we'll do, because we're not supposed to consider a map just yet. And so I think giving us this grid concept, giving us this map, this might be a little bit too much. So, I don't know. Something we're going to want to discuss. So, either way, let's take a look. So, X, Y, I think let's do that. We're going to do that. So, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to give the character a location. And I think what I want to do is make this an interface. So, we're going to say prop iLocation, iLocatable? iLocation, location. So we're going to make this as an interface, create an interface, an iLocation interface. No, not public. We're going to say distance from an iLocation. So we're going to say an iLocation has to have one of these. Crimson Green, welcome. Hello. Greetings. Yes, welcome. You made it to chat. Alright, so we're going to add this in now. And the reason I did it as an interface is because I don't want to actually write the location concept yet. So we should be able to fix that later. So we don't need that. But what I'm going to do is this. I'm going to make fake location as a class. It is going to implement an iLocation. And what I'm going to do is this. When you create a fake location, you're going to make distance from. And that is going to be a field. Distance from? I'm going to fix that name. Typoed. Distance from. There we go. Fixed. Okay. So this is called a fake class. I could have done this with a mock, but I'm going to do a fake for now. So we're going to do that, and then that is going to let me do this. If I want to set a location, I can. So we're going to do the location tests. So deal damage from range should. So we're gonna handle range combat here. And what we're going to do is this. We're going to make another test. This is going to be another XUnit test like the ones we did before. We're going to say public void not deal damage given melee character at range. So we're going to say if you are a melee character, so think like sword and shield kind of character, if he's far away, he cannot actually damage someone. So let's do this. So we're going to say var me equals new character. And as part of this, we're going to say that I have a location equal to a new fake location with a distance of, let's say, yeah, 20. We'll be 20 distances away. And then we're going to say var enemy equals new character. And Kale for Twitch, welcome, thanks for following. Guessing Kale, but if it's call or something like that, let me know and I will say it better next time. So we're going to say the distance is on the enemy. Fake location, distance is on the enemy. So we're going to say that he is 20 away from me. So let's say me dot deal damage to enemy. Because he has a distance that's far away, we're going to say I am actually going to move this. I'm going to make the fake location really be part of our code for now. We're not even so that we don't even have to really deal with locations for now. And what I'm going to do is this. New fake location at 0. So instead of dealing with coordinates, we're going to deal with how far away you are. So distance-based location is what I'm going to call this for now. Instead of a fake location, because it's not really fake, it's just that it's only distance-based. So, cheers, welcome. Okay, so we're going to use distance-based location of 20, so we're going to attempt to deal damage, and then we're expecting, so assert dot equal character initial health. So we want the enemy to still have initial health, because our attack should not work, because we are too far away. This test is going to fail, because we have not implemented range into our combat yet. So this test fails because it really did apply the damage. So let's go ahead and take a look at this. So when we deal damage, we did a couple of things. We first tweaked damage if we needed to, based on level. So actually, I kind of want to extract this as a method and say get the damage amount. So let's do this first. So we're going to extract a method and say get damage amount. So we're going to get the damage amount here for the enemy, and that's going to do that calculation. So that's a little bit cleaner. The other thing that I'm going to do is I want to say and enemy within range. And I'm going to say enemy. So I'm going to make a new method called enemy within range. So what I can then do is say if enemy dot location distance from me dot this dot location is greater than 0. Hang on. So here's what we're gonna do. We need to have the range. How do we want to do this? I need to have some concept of a class. Let me show you what we're working on, everybody, just so you're clear here. We are trying to give our melee fighters a range of 2 and our ranged fighters a range of 20. So I think I want to have a range property that gets set at the constructor level, and then we'll set our character type. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to make melee fighters the default for now. So I'm going to say character class. And yes, it is annoying that I have to use the word class because that's a keyword in our programming language. And I didn't actually want that to be a class. I wanted that to be an enum. So what I'm going to do is this. This is not an ideal way to solve this problem, but it's a good starting point. We'll eventually get a polymorphic approach, but right now we just need this. So always start with what's simple, because if we were to stop the code here, I wouldn't want to have the polymorphic approach because I think that's more complexity than this code needs. So, melee, ranged. So, character class, melee, character class, ranged. Okay. That ought to work. Why not name it fighting style? Ooh, Pyro, I like it. Yes. What did it call it here? Did it say fighting style? Ranged fighters. Yeah, I like it. Good suggestion. Fighting style. Yeah. Melee and ranged. Zeus God 7, welcome. Thanks for following. Good, and have some coins, Pyro. That was a great suggestion. Good name, good name. I like it. Okay, so here's what we're gonna do. So when you create a character, we need a fighting style. Fighting style equals fighting style melee is gonna be our default, and then I want to set an auto property. And it's a getter-only property because we're setting it based on the constructor. So now because of this, all of our default ones are going to be melee. So that means everything we did so far is melee. We haven't added ranged combat yet. So I'm treating this as everything before was melee. Okay. So now that we've done that, I can then say enemy within range. So first off, I'm probably going to make a method that actually gets me the ranges because we're going to need that later, but for the first version, I am just going to say this.fighting style, and then I am going to have this switch just generate my labels here, and I'm not going to do an argument out of range exception on that. We're going to say melee and ranged. So int range equals 0, and I am going to say range equals 2, I think is what it said, and I will confirm that in a moment. And we're going to extract this into a method, don't worry. This is just where we're putting it to build it, and then we move it to the right place. So we're going to say switch on fighting style is those, range is that. So if their location is greater than our range, then we're going to say false. Else, we're going to return true. So now that I've done that, I can say this, replace with a return. So now what it's going to say is return enemy location, distance from this. So if the enemy's location, if their distance is less than or equal to our range, then they're within range. So they need to be closer than what our range distance allows for. And actually, I don't terribly mind that being in there right now, although I really would rather, what I'd rather do is set a range based on the fighting style when we create it, or have that be part of the range. And realistically, we're probably going to take a polymorphic approach, so essentially we'll have a class that is a melee class, because I think these are going to deviate. But for now, since this is the only difference, I'm not going to take the full approach of getting rid of it, that would get rid of the switch statement. I don't want to do that just yet because we don't know what the future of this code is going to be. That's why we haven't read ahead. So in our instructions, as it tells us, we're reading one iteration at a time before reading the next one. Complete it and then move forward. So range of 2, range of 20, must be in range to deal damage to a target. Characters can have an attack max range. Yeah, okay. So now... let's see, if we're outside of range, we should stop this. Okay, I wonder why that failed. We're gonna have to check that. I thought that one was gonna pass. So here's what I'm gonna do. We're gonna debug this real quickly, because I clearly missed something. Probably while talking to chat, because that kind of thing happens. Death's Hand 1234, welcome, thanks for following. Hopefully you're having a great day. We are having great days here as well. Oh, I wonder if I did the wrong thing. Why did I skip this? Oh, son of a... That's backwards. I did enemy within range. Enemy out of range. So let's say, or enemy, if it's this, or enemy is out of range. So let's flip this. We're gonna say greater than their distance is greater than our range. Backwards, fixed. That's why we test things. That's why we test things. Green. Okay, cool. So now let's go here. We're going to run all the tests again. So this is also then going to confirm that we didn't break anything because we added a new feature. We need our previous test to all pass as well, and they do. That's fantastic. So, adding simplistic range concept. So that is a very simple range concept. We didn't go into a lot of detail with that because the exercise we're doing is a programming exercise, and it specifically states that we are not handling things like a map or anything like that. That's not a part of this. So we assume that code's elsewhere, being written by something else. Something else is dealing with this. We just need to get the ranges back. So that's why we wrote that simple just range thing. Like, we, instead of positioning them somewhere on a grid, we just said, hey, they're within range. And then that's what we did for it. So that worked well enough. Hang on. Alright, sorry, I had to send out a message there. Okay, so we completed that. So we're now on to our retrospective. So did I get these committed? Let's commit these. Those were committed. Okay, so we added that. So now we want to have a discussion. So are you keeping up with the requirements? Has an iteration been a big challenge? Yeah, I'd say we're keeping up with the requirements. I don't think any of those iterations were a challenge for us yet. I think we were able to handle them in the ways that we did that. I don't know what your thoughts were, if any of those were too challenging, like any of those got weird. And do we... do I feel good about the design? That's the question we're being asked down here. I don't feel great about the design right now. I don't think it's bad. But there are some things I would like to change about it. It scales all right, and that's why I say it's not bad. I think we'll be able to adapt to new requirements, but we'll see. And is everything tested? Yes, it is. We've got all the stuff. Well, it's mostly tested. It's tested enough. And I am confident that our code works as is for the requirements. So overall in this retrospective, I would say I feel pretty good. There's a couple of things that I'm not a big fan of. I wish our tests were a little cleaner. And I would like to clean up our code a little bit as well. So I want to clean up the character class a little bit. There's more stuff in it than I'd like right now, and even what's here is a little more complex. But I don't feel too bad about it. So I just want to see how much more there is. So looks like we have 2 more iterations and a retrospective. So my plan is that we are going to save that for the next time. Now, before anyone ducks out of here, I actually want to post a couple of links to get your attention on them. And those are, for anyone who hasn't been in here, I am going to be doing a Learn to Code stream. So, a series of streams, I should say. So I'm going to start doing, I'm hoping to do like one of my streams a week is going to be a beginner stream. And what we're going to do is we're going to run VS Code. So that is the lightweight free IDE from Microsoft. It's very common. It runs on Windows, Linux, and Mac. And what I plan to do is have us start out simple exercises and things like that. And I will show you my information on that I am planning for. So I want to do a Learn to Program series. And essentially what we're going to do is we're going to work on simple code together. So we're going to start out together. We're going to work through all the code as a team. So I'm going to be building it, and you're going to be building it too. So I'm going to recommend that you install the tools so that you can follow along. And if you are newer to C#, this will be fantastic for you to be able to, try stuff out. And literally, there's live people doing the exact same code as you that you can ask for help on. So that's why it's going to be a really awesome thing there. If you are a beginner, intermediate, or more advanced, do the exercise with us, but just try to make it more challenging in some way. Do something interesting with it. Try to add additional features that we're not getting to. So just kind of make it your own challenge. It's a nice way to practice. So that's the plan. If you know anyone that is interested in learning to program, whether they actually want to be a programmer or just they think programming is cool and want to learn how it works, tell them about it. Tell them to check it out. We're still figuring out which day we're going to do that. When I do get them scheduled, I am going to make sure that I shout on the rooftops when it is going to start so that everybody can actually show up for it. But should be fun. And that's the big thing there. I am scheduling some additional guests to be on the stream. I'm sure people are expecting that because that's what I often do. If you want to find out when our next streams are, you have a couple of options for that. You can ask our bot, so just tell it the offset in there. So that is my time zone. Our streams are on Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday at the times listed there in UTC-4. But if you know your UTC offset, you could pass it in. So, for example, if you were in Germany, they are at UTC+2. So that is the schedule in terms of, say, Central European summertime when our stream happens. And let's see. If you're on Twitch, you can check out down below to see that as well. And I would also recommend that you check out our videos section here to see our past stuff. And in addition, you can subscribe to our YouTube channel where I'm putting the archives of our videos. So as they expire from Twitch, so Twitch only keeps our videos around of our past streams for so long. But if you want to see our early stuff, which actually includes a few other programming exercises and katas, you can head on over to our YouTube channel and check those out as well. And then other things. All of our code is obviously posted on GitHub. We're going to push it all out there. I will get this code out there later. I am not going to do it right now. And if you're interested in chatting with any of us after the stream, please check out our Discord. I linked that as well. And you can find all these links down below the stream. And I will catch you all on Monday. So enjoy the rest of your weekend. Have a great day, however much of it you've got left. And on Monday, we will be back to writing more C# code. So I look forward to seeing you all there. And thanks for hanging out today, everyone. Have a great one. Bye.